We live in a world, and specifically a culture, in which we thrive not only on diversity but also division. We're divided by gender, whether male or female. We are divided by race and ethnicity. We are grouped into categories by where we live. Whether you are rural or urban are really no longer good enough. There's suburban, inner city, ghetto, remote. Most of us would probably be remote, I would assume. Animals, plants, and other beings are divided by kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genre, and species. We could divide ourselves here in this place by hair color, eye color, age, handedness. Are you right-handed or left-handed? Our world is full of division. The most important of all, what defines and divides the best from the rest, is whether or not you are in fact a twister or a dunker. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
It matters, does it not, whether you twist or dunk? It matters how you eat an Oreo cookie, doesn't it? Division. Drawing a line or distinction between. The word from the Greek meaning to literally split or rift apart. There are divisions within our world that are much greater, believe it or not, than the Oreo cookie and whether or not you twist or dunk. There is this rift in our own country and probably within our own families when we speak of politics, whether or not you're Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal. In the past, we were divided north from south, slavery versus non. The Christian church, universal, has been divided and divided and divided again. Catholic and Protestant, Protestant, evangelical and charismatic, non-denominational. I could go on. And even within the confines of our own denomination, even within the United Methodist Church, we find some powerful divisions. Recently, a pastor within our own denomination from Pennsylvania, his name is Frank Schaefer, was defrocked or stripped of his credentials for performing a ceremony for a homosexual couple. As pastors within the United Methodist Church, we are held to a certain set of standards put forth in the Book of Discipline. This is the book that governs our faith as United Methodists and explains what we do and do not believe based on scriptural understanding. We do believe that all people are of sacred worth and value. The Book of Discipline also states that as United Methodists, we find homosexuality incompatible with Christian teaching, undoubtedly causing division among the church. In our scripture reading today, we hear Paul speaking to the church in Corinth about the division among them. He says that he has heard about the quarreling taking place, and to say the least that Paul, he's unimpressed with them. He says very clearly that all must be in agreement and there be no division, that they are to be united of the same mind and same purpose. Now, is Paul saying that everyone must be the same? That we all should wear like khaki slacks and a black polo shirt, twist and lick our Oreos? No. What Paul is getting at is that when our focus is Christ and the cross, there is no division because we are unified through Jesus Christ. When our focus is Christ and the cross, there is no division because we are unified through Jesus Christ. Now, I'm not sure I mentioned this before, but that marriage ceremony that Frank Schaefer, the pastor who was defrocked, performed was for his own son. The ceremony took place in Massachusetts, a state where same-sex marriage was legalized. division, both inside and outside of the church, I'm convinced, comes not from love, but from fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of the unfamiliar, fear of what is different from us. Division in many ways is a way for people to determine who's better, who in some way is superior. I think about the games that are going to go on today and how we're trying to figure out who should go to the playoffs for the Super Bowl, right? Or who should be the teams that come head to head and become superior. We know in Corinth, it was a thriving Roman colony with many of its people migrating there from Italy, as well as having a strong population there from Greece. And Corinth had a good trade business going on because of the high, and because of that, they had a high transient population. Corinth was a melting pot, much like America, with diversity in ethnicity, culture, and economy. But they were drawn together through Paul's message, where Jew and Gentile alike, from notable leaders to the homeless beggars on the street and everyone in between. One commentary said the church in Corinth was large and filled with members who were self-willed, rebellious against authority, and arrogant. Into this unfavorable climate of confusion and guilt, Paul introduces forgiveness, redemption, and joy. Into this climate, Paul introduces the unfailing love of Jesus Christ. Emmanuel, God with us. The church had division issues then, and so we still do today. What if I told you that Frank performed the ceremony for his son 7 years ago? The trial was this past November. And this was the only ceremony of this kind that he officiated. And it was the son of a disgruntled choir director that submitted the charge to have Frank removed. That Frank had spoke to his district superintendent prior to officiating the ceremony. Frank was given an opportunity to reaffirm his commitment to the church and our discipline. And if he would have done that, he wouldn't have been defrocked. But in his own good conscience, he could not. Because of Frank's 4 children, 3 of them were gay. Division. Where's the love of Christ in it? Where is the power of the cross in that? Division stems from fear. Unity, however, from the cross of Christ. We talked about division, the division with the children. And I don't know if many of you remember what the division sign looks like, but here it is. And as I was thinking about it, it dawned on me that this, my friends, is an incomplete cross. It's incomplete. And I began to realize that where there is division, the cross is always incomplete. We do not have to agree or think the same way or have all the answers. I know I don't. We live in a world that is rarely black and white, but about 100 shades of gray. But there's this one absolute. There's one outstanding absolute, that we have all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, but yet, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. While we were still sinners, Christ died for our salvation. Our unity comes through the cross in which Christ died for all of humanity. The church in Corinth's basic quarrel was who was a better Christian, a truer Christian, if you will, based on who they were baptized by, whose Christianity was more real, if you will. To whom did their allegiance belong? Was it Paul or Apollos or Cephas or Christ himself? Division. An incomplete cross. When we're divided, when there is division, the power of the cross is limited, you guys. It's incomplete. But when there's unity, when we who are being saved come together under the head of Christ, we have the power of God. Can you feel it? In this time, in this place, through this church, the power of God can do a mighty thing for those that Christ came to save. All of humanity, the least and the lost, the proud and the powerful, the homosexual, the twister, or the drunkard. Christ really came for us all. Would you stand?